Today we are discussing on the world's top 5 largest economies in 2024. Asia making huge development strides and the hegemony of the West looking ever shakier. The COVID-19 crisis has seemingly accelerated this change. China was one of the few major economies to record growth last year, for instance, while the US and Europe were mired in deep recessions. The next several years should see a continuation of recent trends, with China and India further closing the economic gap with developed economies. Let's start. Number 1, United States. $25.3 trillion in 2024. Focus Economics panelists see the U.S. retaining its title as the world's largest economy, with a forecast for nominal GDP of $25.3 trillion in 2024. Healthy private consumption and fixed investment, still fairly favorable demographics and a loose fiscal stance under Biden will all support activity. However, soaring public debt and a possible resurgence in inflation due to stimulus measures are risks. Moreover, the U.S. will still shed relative economic clout. While in 2000, the U.S. economy was around 4 times the combined size of the BRIC economies, Brazil, Russia, India and China, the BRICS will be over 10% larger than the U.S. in 2024. Number 2, China. $20.6 trillion in 2024. Our panelists forecast Chinese GDP at $20.6 trillion, or roughly 81% of U.S. GDP, in 2024. In 2018, the corresponding figure was around 65%. China's strong handling of the COVID-19 crisis has supported domestic activity and the value of the yuan. Both factors will boost the size of the Chinese economy in dollars terms over the forecast horizon. Moreover, strong private consumption will be a key growth driver in coming years, with the government putting a particular focus on strengthening domestic activity as part of its dual circulation strategy. However, U.S.-China trade tensions and elevated debt levels pose risks. Number 3, Japan. $5.6 trillion in 2024. Japan will remain the world's third largest economy, with nominal GDP of $5.6 trillion. The economy will be aided by stronger foreign demand and extensive fiscal support at home. However, it will have lost further ground to both developed and emerging market rivals as a shrinking population feeds through to anemic economic growth. Next few years, Japanese geopolitical concerns are expected to be more important. Number 4, Germany. $4.9 trillion in 2024. Germany is projected to cling on to 4th place, with nominal GDP of $4.6 trillion. The country weathered the COVID-19 crisis better than many other developed economies, and going forward, activity should be aided by robust manufacturing and a supportive fiscal stance. However, like Japan, the country's unfavorable demographics will weigh on economic momentum in the coming years. Number 5, India. $4.9 trillion in 2024. India is set to become the world's 5th largest economy by 2024, with nominal GDP of $3.7 trillion, overtaking both France and the UK. While the country was hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic and an ensuing harsh lockdown, the impact of the pandemic appears to be lessening, and recent economic signs are encouraging. Growth will be spurred in the coming years by surging consumption, investment and exports, while structural reforms pose an upside risk. A free trade pact recently agreed between ASEAN, Australia, China, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea could hamper the external sector somewhat.